Scenario A contemplates a future for Mooresville where growth and development stop with completion of projects approved by or presented before the town's Board of Commissioners through July 18, 2024. The concept map, pictured here, depicts preferred development types, locations, patterns, styles, and intensities for the planning area, assuming full build-out of Scenario A. Some areas on the map reflect what currently exists today, some are more aspirational in nature, and others are a mix of what exists today and what could be in the future. While some members of the community asked for a strict, no-growth scenario, the fact of the matter is that all projects previously approved by the town's Board of Commissioners, but not yet built, have a legal right to build out in accordance with the conditions of their previous approvals. Therefore, the commitment to no growth for Scenario assumes the town's Board of Commissioners would approve no further development for its portion of the planning area moving forward. It also assumes that the Iredell County Board of Commissioners would do the same for portions of the planning area it controls. Using the July cutoff date, the scenario recognizes 132 different pipeline projects for the planning area, which represent up to 3,674 new single-family homes, 228 new duplex homes, 2,447 new townhomes, and 5,246 new multifamily units that could be built sometime in the future. The pipeline projects recognized for Scenario A also represent up to 643,000 square feet of new retail space, 437,000 square feet of new office space, and over 3 million square feet of new industrial space that could be built sometime in the future. Now you can see into the pipeline development database maintained by the Town of Mooresville to see what development projects are on the books, their location, their associated development programs, and their construction status. A dashboard at the bottom of the web portal summarizes the total number of dwelling units by type, total non-residential square feet, and total number of projects in the area you are viewing at the time. This information updates automatically as you zoom in or zoom out on the map. Please contact David Cole at the Mooresville Planning Department with any questions about this web tool. Building on the pipeline development, Scenario A also assumes build-out of 2,609 random lots in existing residential neighborhoods, which were previously platted but remain vacant today. Significant demand to live in Mooresville will place tremendous pressure on these lot owners to develop or sell in the future if there is simply no more large residential projects approved by the town's Board of Commissioners in the future. Scenario A, as the no-growth scenario, is the most committed to protecting undeveloped land in the planning area as permanent open space using means and methods described later in this presentation. Land preserved for open space may be used for passive or active purposes. More passive areas are represented by undisturbed land protected from future subdivision or development by federal, state, county, or town entities, or by public, private, or non-profit organizations. More active open space in the town's planning area may be used for parks, playgrounds, or athletic fields. Land preserved as open space to this magnitude would instill a unique character for the town within the surrounding region, becoming notable as a community situated amongst trees, woodlands, and pastures. It could also significantly protect environmentally sensitive lands now vacant throughout the community. A temporary halt to development would be declared pursuant to Section 160D-107 in the North Carolina statutes to provide time to conceptualize a town-led and primarily town-funded land acquisition program aimed at preserving all remaining undeveloped land inside town limits as passive or active open space. Town officials would work with the state of North Carolina, federal government agencies, and nonprofit organizations to cover a presumably small portion of the land acquisition program. Simultaneously, the town would also support a separate initiative led by Iredell County to preserve all remaining undeveloped land in the planning area outside of town limits. There is no certainty if, when, and to what extent the county may want to participate, and especially help fund a land acquisition program for areas outside of town limits. The program would monetize development rights for private property owners and purchase the land or its development rights as an alternative with funding from two local bond referendums, one led by the town and the other led by the county. The town's bond would be used to purchase nearly 27% of the land still undeveloped and unprotected in the town limits, about 4,160 acres. This is the area shown in green on the map. The current total property value for undeveloped land in town limits is over $600 million per the Iredell County tax records. The town's bond would require a local referendum, meaning voters would have to approve the preservation bond before it is issued. The magnitude of the bond being considered to purchase land for permanent preservation inside town limits is far greater than any other bond ever considered in the town's history. Town residents could see their tax bills nearly double for a period of 20 years to cover the debt service obligations under the town's proposed bond program for land preservation. The county's bond would be used to purchase nearly 40% of the land outside town limits that is still undeveloped and unprotected, almost 16,000 acres. This is the area shown in green on the map. The current property value for undeveloped land outside town limits is $800 million per Iredell County tax records. The county's bond would also require a local referendum, meaning voters would approve the preservation bond before it is issued. Debt service for the county bond would be shared by all county residents, meaning people in all cities, towns, and unincorporated areas of the county would help pay to reserve vacant land in the Mooresville planning area outside of town limits. It is also important to know town residents would pay twice under the land preservation program described for in Scenario A because they are both town and county residents, and they pay both town and county taxes that would be used to retire or pay back the two debt service assessments. County residents could see their tax bills nearly double each year for a period of 20 years to cover debt service obligations under the county's separate bond program for land preservation. Town residents could see their total tax bills more than triple for a period of 20 years to cover debt service obligations if both the town and county land preservation bonds were approved by voters. This is because town residents pay both town and county taxes. Growth forecasted for the planning area in Scenario A was allocated to grid cells using a computer software and the list of pipeline projects identified earlier in this presentation. Black dots on the map represent either one new dwelling unit or one new square foot of non-residential development allocated to the planning area between 2024 and 2040. The amount of land disturbed by new development, residential and non-residential combined, for the Scenario A is 5.7% of the total planning area, which represents an area approximately 12 times larger than downtown Mooresville. The project team for Mooresville Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan calculated the impacts for 10 indicators: new residents, new employees, new students, new police officers, new firefighters, new park acres, new greenways, and new water demand, new sewer demand, and new solid waste demand associated with future growth and development patterns depicted on the two maps presented for Scenario A on the previous slide. Information for each of the 10 indicators is presented under 3 conditions: existing conditions, future year conditions for the full planning area, and future year condition for town limits only. You can learn more about the different reporting geographies used for the new comprehensive plan, town limits, extraterritorial jurisdiction, areas of influence, and full planning area by reading the introduction chapter on the existing conditions tab of our project website, www.mooresville-tomorrow.com. Please visit the same existing conditions tab on the project website for our book report series, which presents existing conditions and emerging trends for the full planning area. Separate reports are available for environment, land use, infrastructure, market conditions, and a review of existing town policies and ordinances. The first column of data in the summary poster for Scenario A represents existing conditions observed for each indicator in the full planning area. The second column of the data in the summary poster for Scenario A represents future year conditions, 2040, expected for each indicator. In this case, the data is reported for the full planning area. The third column of data in the summary poster for Scenario A also represents future year conditions, 2040, expected for each indicator. However, in this case, the data is reported for town limits only. Governments have certain responsibilities to construct, operate, maintain, and replace community facilities and services, or infrastructure, to keep pace with existing and future year development patterns. Some infrastructure categories are planned and funded solely by the Town of Mooresville, while others are provided by Iredell County, the Mooresville Graded School District, Iredell-Statesville School District, the State of North Carolina, private utility companies, or other partners. In some cases, private developers build certain infrastructure, streets, water lines, sewer lines, parks, open spaces, etc., to serve their newly developed neighborhoods, employment centers, shopping centers, etc., and dedicate it to the town, Iredell County, or the NCDOT when the project is complete. The type, location, and capacity of infrastructure in the community, its service delivery, are critical to the town's ability to grow and develop in accordance with the concept map presented earlier for Scenario A. Service delivery is also critical to manage the cost and timing of needed improvements, which can dramatically impact property owners with increased taxes if expenditures are not well planned and well funded in future year capital and operating budgets. The information presented over the next few slides approximates the demand for new facilities and services generated by the type, location, pattern, mix, and intensity of development envisioned for the planning area. Data is reported for 5 categories: police protection, fire protection, parks and public spaces, sewer service, and water service. This information will be considered again during a detailed cost of services study that will be prepared in the coming months to accompany the new Mooresville Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan. Information generated in the cost of services study for expected revenues, expected expenditures, capital needs, and potential return on investment, that is, revenues versus expenditures, will allow stakeholders the opportunity to make more informed decisions about their future. Continued development away from existing police resources will stretch the department, which will necessitate a new police annex building, marked with a red asterisk on the map, somewhere in the eastern portion of town limits. 73 new patrol vehicles will also be needed to keep pace with the number of new officers hired to match population growth. A new fire station, Station 7, would be needed in the Langtree area, marked with a white asterisk on the map, to serve future development and maintain minimum fire suppression and response time standards. Additional staff and equipment would also be needed at existing stations to serve new development types and intensities. The number and distribution of parks and public spaces in the planning area remains the same as it is today. Pipeline development assumed for the scenario does not include major investments in parks or public spaces by either the town or the project's developers as approved. A small increase in the sewer service area, matching town limits, would be needed in the future to serve specific pipeline development currently outside town limits that was assumed for the scenario. A small increase in the water service area, matching town limits, would also be needed in the future to serve specific pipeline development currently outside town limits that was assumed for the scenario. This concludes our brief overview of Scenario A being considered for the Mooresville Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan. Remember to click on the link in our story map to review all 8 presentation boards that were created to summarize key aspects of the scenario in more detail. These are the same presentation boards that we displayed at the 4 in-person events held in late August. Please contact David Cole at the Mooresville Planning Department with any questions you may have. Thank you.